England and New Zealand start their international windows with great wins on the weekend. Toulouse lead the top 14 going into their break for the international window. And in Premiership Women's Rugby, Gloucester-Hartbury, after just 2 rounds, are looking like they are going to dominate once again. Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup with Big Mike here on November 5th, 2025. It is me, Big Mike of Big Mike Rugby. We're going to talk about everything that happened last weekend, everything that's going to happen this weekend too. So come on down. Let's talk some rugby. Also this weekend, we have a huge amount of international rugby, as well as their final qualification tournament starting for the final spot in the Men's 2027 Rugby World Cup. But enough of all that. Let's get to the roundup, and we are going to start with international rugby results in the men's game from last weekend. First big game of the weekend, we saw England taking on Australia in Twickenham. This one was tight in the first half, with England going into the break 10-7 ahead at that halftime mark before scoring 15 unanswered tries in the second half to beat the Wallabies 25 points to 7. The difference in this one was England's bench doing exactly what it needed to do. We always have to mention that some of the best Wallabies players were not released by their top 14 clubs, and their top squad will not be making an appearance until this weekend, but it doesn't matter. It was still their chance to take down England in England, which they could not do. England going home with the Ella Mobs Trophy. What this did, as France did not play on the weekend, this took England into 4th spot in the World Rugby rankings. Australia still sitting in that awkward 7th position. Then also in London, but this time at Wembley, it was South Africa taking on Japan, and South Africa's breakdown game and strong kicking was exactly what they needed to destroy the Cherry Blossoms, with the Springboks going home victors 61 points to 7. It was 26-0 at half-time, South Africa completely dominating, Japan not doing what they needed to do. It doesn't get any easier for Japan, as this weekend they are taking on Ireland in Dublin. And speaking of Ireland, they went down on the weekend to the mighty All Blacks of New Zealand. The final score in this one was 26 points to 13. This one was very close for most of this one before the All Blacks started to stretch it out and take the lead in the final 20 minutes. Very controversial red card in this one early. Most people saying it should have only been a yellow, if that. As of today, there are reports coming out saying that, hey, that wasn't a red card. Ireland played well, but they appeared too conservative in this one. They started with a 10-0 lead over the All Blacks before the All Blacks did what the All Blacks do. It was the first game in the All Blacks Grand Slam tour, this one taking part in Chicago, with both of these teams heading over to the Isles for this weekend. The All Blacks this weekend will be taking on Scotland, who didn't have Blair Kinghorn and Finn Russell, who were playing in the top 14, but it didn't matter, as Scotland destroyed the United States of America 85 points to 0. Not much to say about this one at all. USA did defeat Samoa earlier in the year, but they are not up to standard when it comes to facing the big boys. In non-test match results from last weekend, we had the New Zealand 15 take down the Barbarians 33 points to 19. Another game from London on the very same day. The Barbarians were up 19-0 before 5 unanswered tries to the New Zealand 15, captained by the mighty Dalton Papali'i, got the victory. Also, an Argentina 15 squad went down in a tight one, 31 points to 28 to Munster. Other result from yesterday as of recording. The New Zealand Heartland 15, 31-14 over the Samoa Presidents 15. This weekend there are no restrictions. Everyone should have access to everyone. As I mentioned earlier, only one change in the world rankings, with England going up to 4th and France slipping down to 5th. 2 club results now, and we did have a round of the top 14. Toulon destroyed Lyon, 54 points to 21. Bayonne absolutely crushed Montauban, 49 points to 7. Bordeaux took down Castres, 28-26. Clermont threw 3 penalty goals to Auckland's Harry Plummer, beat Montpellier 9 points to 7. Toulouse are top of the table after a 29-17 victory over Stade Francais Paris. La Rochelle beat Racing 33 points to 6. And Pau escaped with one against the winless Perpignan. That one was 27 points to 23. Top 6 right now, you have Toulouse, Pau, Bordeaux, Bayonne, La Rochelle, and Stade Francais Paris, all within 4 points of each other on the table. Bottom of the table, we have the winless Perpignan with just 1 bonus point. All right, here we go. French Pro D2. Sayo Angolimi defeated Grenoble 34 points to 28. Colomiers beat Béziers 43-22. My beloved Vannes, huge victory over Valence Roman 64-10. Aurillac escaped with one against Oyonnax 22-20. Speaking of escaping with one, Stade Montois escaped with a victory over Nevers 71 points to 10. Again, bet Dax 31 points to 0. It was a mighty draw between Carcassonne and Berry, 23 points each, and Provence bet Brive 25 points to 3. My beloved Vannes sitting on top of the table, followed by Colomiers, again Provence, Valence Romans, and Nevers. Premiership Rugby Cup results. Leicester bet Newcastle 10 points to 8. Bath defeated Bristol 49-19. Northampton 26-17 victors over Harlequins, and the Salé Sharks went down in a close one to the Gloucester squad, 29 points to 28. No club rugby results in the men's game from the Southern Hemisphere, as all those competitions have finished up for the season, and the Rugby Euro Super Cup is also on a break. Women's club action in the PWR. Gloucester-Hartbury got a bonus point victory over the Exeter Chiefs 47-31. The Leicester Tigers got a very unfortunate donut, losing to the Bristol Bears 74 points to 0. The Loughborough Lightning bet the Salé Sharks 19-12, and Saracens got a great victory 47-10 over the Harlequins. Top of the table as expected. Gloucester-Hartbury. The winless teams so far are the Trailfinders and the Leicester Tigers, who after 2 games are minus 103 in points differential. Now let's hear about me. Big Mike Rugby. If you want me to talk about any teams, any games, any competitions, comment somewhere. Comment on the Instagram. Do what you need to. Get my attention and I will do my best to satisfy you. Yeah. Lots of good feedback this week, including one fan being very sad about Paraguay not making it to that final qualification tournament. Obviously, they have been replaced by Brazil, and we are going to talk about that tournament, who's in it, and who's playing whom, very soon. In some unfortunate news, as if American rugby couldn't get any worse, the Utah Warriors have sent out one of those cryptic messages looking like they will be yet another Major League Rugby squad not participating in next year's competition. None of us know what's going on over there, but it's not looking flash, and you've got to feel for those poor players who have invested so much time into playing for their home country. But the teams they get to play for are reducing and reducing. All right, now let's look forward to this week with a huge amount of international rugby coming up. I hope I don't miss any games this weekend. Let's start with the top squads in the world. That means looking at the number 1 ranked squad, Springboks, who will be taking on France in that beautiful stadium in Paris. The last time these two teams met was in that quarterfinal in the 2023 Rugby World Cup, where South Africa won 29 points to 28. France, who are a very proud rugby playing nation, will be looking for revenge and will be looking to assert their dominance. Remember, this time last year, they were the only team to beat the All Blacks at the end of year tour. France are coming off a Six Nations victory and then 3 losses to New Zealand in New Zealand without taking a lot of their top players. This will be their chance to get on top again. The Springboks are currently 4 from 4 in their last 4 games. After losing to the All Blacks at Eden Park, they have beaten the All Blacks, Argentina twice, and of course last weekend they took down Japan. Do not be surprised if this one goes the whole 80 minutes before we have a victor. I'm personally picking France to win this one because it seems like a very French thing to do. And the weekend after, they're playing Fiji. So it wouldn't be surprising, knowing France, for them to beat the Springboks and then lose to the Flying Fijians. Now the second-ranked team in the world, we're talking about the All Blacks. They came off that great victory against Ireland last weekend in Chicago, and they will be playing Scotland, who won 85-0 against the United States of America. Scotland have never beaten the All Blacks. Scotland have had a bit of an indifferent 2025. Their last game, they beat that Samoan squad 41-12 at Eden Park, but they also went down to Fiji in Fiji. The All Blacks have beaten Ireland and Australia twice since that big loss to South Africa. It has been 3 years since these two teams have met. The last few games between them have been decided by less than 10 points. Can Scotland cause the ultimate upset? I'm picking no, but maybe. The All Blacks also have injuries to Scott Barrett and Geordie Barrett, so their team announcement this week is going to be very, very exciting indeed. Now we go to the third rank, Ireland. Ireland are taking on Japan. Japan have not had a very successful run lately, losing to Fiji, Australia, and the Springboks. Ireland had those matches against Georgia and Portugal in their July international window after coming so close to winning the Six Nations earlier in the year. The last time these two teams met, it was an Ireland victory in 2021. Before then, of course, we have that huge upset in the 2019 World Cup with Japan getting the victory 19 points to 12. We are picking a big Ireland victory in this one. If the Japan squad that took on the Wallabies turns up in this one, they might have a chance of staying in it. Very unlikely that they are going to get the victory. Now our fourth ranked squad, England. They are taking on Fiji. Fiji are currently ranked 9th in the world. They went through the Pacific Nations Cup unbeaten, but England are on an 8-game winning streak. A depleted England squad went to Argentina earlier in the year and got good victories, and they have victories coming out of the Six Nations and against the United States. The last time Fiji played a top-ranked opponent, they went down 21-18 to Australia. The last time these two teams met in a test match outside of the World Cup, Fiji got that huge upset, 30 points to 22 just before the World Cup in 2023. As much as I would love my Fijian cousins to take this one, I think England are going to get even more momentum before their match against the All Blacks. Going down the world rankings now, we have the 6th ranked Argentina squad taking on 12th ranked Wales, who finally broke their huge losing streak by beating Japan earlier in the year, 31 points to 22. This Argentinian squad has beaten the All Blacks. They have beaten the Wallabies, but they did go down twice to the Springboks. Argentina has won the last 3 meetings between these two nations, and we are looking for that form to continue. The last time Argentina played any Welsh squad was 2 years ago in the World Cup. This Argentinian squad is about as up and down as the French, but I think they're going to get a victory in this one. Then we have the 7th ranked Australia away from home against the 10th ranked Italy. If you recall, in 2022, Italy got that huge upset victory, 28 points to 27 against the Wallabies. These Wallabies will be hurting after that big loss to England, after they will feel like they've had a relatively successful year so far. I expect the Wallabies to absolutely demolish the Italians in the Italians' first game of the window. The next team to talk about in the world rankings is the 11th ranked Georgia squad taking on the 15th ranked United States. Georgia won their competition earlier in the year, but have gone down to Ireland and the Springboks. The USA have beaten Belgium and Samoa this year, and are coming off an 85-0 loss. In their last 3 meetings, Georgia has won this one, and we expect them to do the same here. Georgia are close to the cusp of that 12th, 13th spot in the world rankings, which might slip them down to face even more difficult teams. To make it through to the knockout round, they will want to stay in that 7th to 12th spot, which we think they will do. Go Georgia. Next in the rankings going down, we've got Spain, who are 14th. They will be taking on an Ireland A squad. Not an official test match, who cares? We have the 19th ranked Uruguay away from home against the 20th ranked Portugal, 2 teams that have qualified for the World Cup. Uruguay have had more form this year, including victories over Chile and Paraguay recently. Portugal have had a few losses lately. This is the very first time these 2 teams are ever going to play. Another game this weekend, we have the 21st ranked Romania squad hosting the 24th ranked Canada, another 2 teams that have qualified for that World Cup. The last time these 2 teams met was last year, where they actually had 2 games, 1 win each. Romania will be going into this one as slight favourites. They are at home. However, Canada did defeat the USA. I do think Romania will take it, though. Other games this weekend, we have the All Blacks 15 taking on England A. We've got Colombia versus Mexico, and the Bristol Bears are hosting the Argentina 15. Now let's talk this repechage competition. 4 teams, 3 games each. Let's see who makes it to the Rugby World Cup in 2027. All of these teams, well, a couple of these teams at least will be very disappointed to be at this stage. A couple of these teams will be very excited. First team we're going to talk about is Samoa. We imagine they are the favourites going into this one, but this year has not been good for our Manu Samoa friends. They have made 9 World Cup appearances out of the 10. They are currently ranked 16th in the world. They did have all of those losses earlier in the year. They lost every game in the Pacific Nations Cup, and they lost to Chile in the qualifiers. They're captained by Michael Alatoa. They have pulled in some of their veterans and some of their big former players, so let's see what goes on. This is a team that has never lost to any other team in this competition. Then another shock squad in this competition. We have Namibia, a team that has made 7 World Cups in a row. They have absolutely dominated the Africa Rugby Cup, which of course does not include the Springboks, but this year they went down to Zimbabwe, missing out on direct qualification for the very first time. They lost their head coach in July after a very disappointing test window and have an interim coach, Jacques Burger. Then we have Belgium. So, thing about Belgium is they came 5th in the Rugby Europe competition to qualify for this tournament. They defeated the Netherlands to get here. In recent years, they have beaten Portugal, the Dutch, and Canada, which was earlier this year. And then our final team is Brazil. Brazil qualify after losing both games to to Paraguay, not to Canada. They lost both games to Paraguay, but Paraguay did eliminate themselves from contention due to fielding an ineligible player. First round is this weekend. We have Samoa, 16th ranked in the world, taking on Brazil, who are sitting in 32nd. We are expecting a big victory for Samoa in this one. Then in a very intriguing contest, it'll be Belgium versus Namibia. Namibia very disappointing. 2025 so far. They are sitting in 27th in the world. Belgium are up in 22nd. The winner of this one will most likely be the team that will give Samoa the biggest grief. Most are expecting Samoa to take this competition, as am I, although I do have a little soft spot for Belgium. Now, Belgium have a cool nickname, Diables Noirs. This one also is a really fun competition because it's got 4 teams from 4 very different parts of the world. And this is what we get when we extend that World Cup out to 24 squads. For reference, the last playoff and final qualification tournament was won by Portugal. This is the one for 2023. Also in that one were Kenya, the United States, and Hong Kong. Now to club action in men's games. There's one game in the top 14 as Toulon host La Rochelle. Round 10 of the D2. Here we go. Grenoble versus Béziers. Colomiers versus Provence. Biarritz versus Again, Brive versus Stade Montois, Oyonnax versus Tayo Angolini, Dax taking on Carcassonne, Valence Romans versus Aurillac, and Nevers taking on my beloved Var. The Premiership Rugby Cup takes a weekend off. Don't know why. It's not like any English international players playing that competition. Round 3 in Premiership Women's Rugby, the Leicester Tigers have a well-deserved break. We've got the Salé Sharks versus Trailfinders, Harlequins hosting Gloucester-Hartbury, the Bristol Bears taking on Saracens, and the Loughborough Lightning versus the Exeter Chiefs. And now we're going to talk about Big Mike's Big 3 games. If you've only got time to watch one, follow one, whatever, maybe make sure it's one of these guys. But how can you pick a Big 3 on a weekend like this? Easy, you just do it. First game in my Big 3 comes from their final qualification tournament. It is Belgium versus Namibia. You can pretty much say that the loser of this one, very, very, very unlikely to qualify. This is essentially second versus third in the favourites race. Oh, I didn't mention earlier, that final qualification tournament taking place in Dubai. All of these matches will be available on Rugby Pass TV, as well as some of the Tier 2 games, such as Georgia versus the United States. And also, I did miss this one in my preview. Forgot to mention Hong Kong China's taking on the Brumbies. Anyway, we've got Belgium versus Namibia. I am also going to put England taking on the Flying Fijians as one of my Big 3 games. We are either going to get the upset of all upsets yet again, or England are going to continue their dominance. This is a Fijian rugby squad with all their regular heavy hitters, as well as the soon-to-debut and cap former All Black Peter Gus Sowakula. Final game in our Big Three this weekend is pretty obvious. It is the big one. It is France hosting South Africa. Can they get their revenge for that quarterfinal loss in the same arena against the same team? The Springboks will be looking to continue their dominance, especially with the All Blacks just behind them in the World Rugby rankings. Will be an absolutely fantastic one to watch this weekend. All right. That's us done for another week. Surprisingly short considering all of the amazing international action we have coming up this weekend. Good luck to you on watching all of the games that you want. Anyway, from all of us here at Big Mike Rugby, I genuinely wish all of you a beautiful week, and I hope you watch some beautiful rugby. Ooh, my neighbour's getting the boat out.